G'day, you're listening to the Virtual Staff Room, and this is episode 37, Design is Everything. Hi, my name's Chris Betcher, thanks for listening. This episode I get to talk to a wonderful teacher I met while I was in China by the name of Melinda Alford, and I'll let Melinda introduce herself and tell you a little bit about herself in just a moment. But just before we get started, just two little pieces of news. One is that for I think the third year running now, the Virtual Staff Room has been nominated in the EduBlog Awards, which is quite an honour. And look, I haven't really made much of a big deal about that before, but this is like the third year in a row, and it is quite an honour. I really do appreciate whoever nominated us. I don't know who that was, but thanks. If you'd like to vote for us, if you enjoy the podcast and you'd like to cast a vote our way, obviously would be honoured to receive it. edublogawards.com, and if you look in the section, the best educational podcast, you can cast a vote there. There's some pretty stiff competition, so I'm not expecting to win, but hey, you know, it'll be nice to get a vote or two. So we didn't come last. The other piece of news is simply that I moved the blog that supports the podcast from to a different server recently, a couple of months ago now, and I've had lots of trouble with the feeds, the RSS feeds, and iTunes all went skew-if, and it was all over the place. So it was a bit of a mess. I just want to let you know it is now all cleaned up. It's all tidy. If you hit the subscribe details, it all works as it should now. There was episodes that weren't linking properly and everything before, so it took me ages to go through it, but it's all sorted out. So if you don't subscribe, or you'd like to subscribe, or you want to update your subscription, it's all there. There's a section on the blog page there called How to Subscribe. There you go. Anyway, I'll get started straight into this interview. Melinda's a fabulous teacher. Really enjoyed working with her. We were in a cohort together in China, and I learnt tons from her. So here she is, Melinda Alford. All right, I am talking with Melinda Alford from Concordia International School in Shanghai, China. Hi, Melinda.
Hi, Chris. How are you today?
I'm really good, really good. Melinda and I met recently when I was in Shanghai for the Learning 2.010 conference, and we were actually cohort buddies, right?
That's right, cohort buddy.
And I really enjoyed working with Melinda. We had a great time together working on this. What was our theme? Developing. Hey?
It's developing a sense of creativity in the classroom.
Yeah. Now, is it creativity or curiosity? I think we lost the plot a little bit, but it was good, whichever it was. I think you and I enjoyed it. I think the cohort enjoyed it too.
I believe they did. I think everybody had a pretty good time.
Yeah, I did. Now, it was a great conference.
Thank you.
I thought it was awesome. And I know you were on the organising committee, so you can accept a part of the bow for that one. But it really was an awesome conference. You want to just fill us in a little bit about your background and just tell us how you ended up in Shanghai and where you're from originally, and put folks in the picture there.
Well, as you can tell, my accent kind of gives it away that I'm not actually from Shanghai. I'm from Atlanta, and I grew up in the Deep South. And I came to Shanghai about 7 years ago on a look-see visit. My husband decided he was going to open a factory here, and we came. And I found a fantastic little school that was in need of a teacher, and I was in need of a place to be, and it ended up working out really well. I like Shanghai a lot. It's a dynamic, alive city. It's both really, really big and really, really small at the same time.
It's an interesting place.
Yeah. It's got a lot to offer, and I've really enjoyed my time here.
Yeah.
And
so
before I was a teacher, I worked as an engineer, and so I like to bring a lot of that to the classroom as much as I can.
Now, remind me to come back to that point, because I think I said to you I have this theory about the best teachers are often people who have done things other than teaching. So I want to talk to you more about that, but we'll come back to that. So you're an engineer.
All right, and so I teach fifth grade, and I also get the opportunity to teach drama, which is another class that I absolutely adore. And I had done some of that previously, I guess, in another life. And that's me.
Excellent. That's good. And I'm sure people can pick that. I think you opened your mouth and said about 3 words, and I went, Atlanta?
Yeah, yeah, you pretty much nailed it right on the head.
Yeah,
Even
there you
even
go.
didn't even say from the South, but from Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that was a complete guess, by the way. Yeah, so we were doing this cohort session on developing a culture of creativity and or
Curiosity.
in your classroom. Now, I got to say, like, it was kind of a little bit of an out of body experience for me because I walked into this room and here's all these people. Like, there was who was there? There was Wes Fryer and Steve Hargadon and Kim Cafino and Jeff Utecht, and there was all these people sitting around the room going, "Wow, this is like my RSS reader come to life."
Yeah, if this is not our Twitter feed, we don't know who is.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and yet, like, I hadn't come across you before, so you kind of have a bit of a lowdown profile in the blogosphere as such.
Yes,
Yeah, that's all going.
I do, and I had kept kind of a low profile, partly because bandwidth and
The Great Firewall of China.
The Great Firewall of China does prohibit a lot of things.
Yeah. So you guys don't get Twitter, you don't get Facebook. What else?
No Twitter, no Facebook. No Blogger.
Yeah. Now you can get all around that with the use of certain techniques, shall we say?
With certain techniques, but even the techniques become difficult, and you always have to be out there searching and pushing in that area.
Yeah, and
so it can be.
Look, the week that I was there, it was like, I can get Twitter and stuff if I go through this firewall or that firewall, and I what do you guys call it, proxies or?
We use proxy servers.
VPNs, yeah, and I'm thinking I can get around it, and you're right. It's just so much trouble that you end up going, screw it, I can just live without Twitter for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you let those things fall by the wayside. Yeah. And I've picked up a lot lately, and have been a lot better about it.
Yeah. So
but
I was really surprised then. I walked into this room with all these sort of rock star bloggers and whatnot, and I met you for the first time, and I thought, I don't know who this person is. Maybe she doesn't blog or she doesn't do this, and yet, like, man, you are. I think I said to you at the time, I'm going to fill your pockets full of warm water now. I think you're one of the finest teachers I've ever met. So there you go. And it struck me the moment I walked into your classroom, because it's a pretty amazing environment that you've created there for you to teach in. And I'm going to get you to tell us a bit about that.
Well, I always believe that I want kids to come into my classroom and feel like there's not that much difference between my class and their homes. I want them to feel that level of comfort. So when I ask them to intellectually push themselves out of their box, they can at least feel comfortable in the space.
Yeah.
I want them to have a nice rug. I want them to have beautiful things to look at. And I want it to have a certain home type feel.
Yeah, and you really feel that the moment you walk in. In fact, I'm going to get you to send me some photos, and I'm going to stick them on the blog for this podcast, so people can go and have a look, because I think it's really worth a look. But just like my recollection of it, I sort of walked in and there was kind of a foyer area. Now, it's a really big room, right?
It is a really big room. It's actually the largest room in our building,
right, which really helps. And you walk in and there's kind of a foyer, and the foyer's got all these bookshelves in it and bean bags and stuff. And as you go through there, then there's kind of, was it like a tree or something? You got like a fake tree or something in the classroom?
We have a pylon that actually holds up the side of the building. And rather than just having a boring pylon that holds up the side of the building, I decided to spend some time and make it into a tree, because it's got to be there anyway. We might as well make it look good.
Now, what was that, paper mache? What was that?
It's paper mache and spray on foam. And I remember it hadn't been up long, and a teacher from another building came in and said, "You need to take that down." And I said, "If I take that down, the side of the building will fall down. It'll be bad." Uh, so the tree comes under mixed reviews, but the kids really like it.
And it's got like branches reaching out, and you've got it's like a big willow tree or something. It's got all this
Yeah, it is.
greenery draped down, and you sort of wander through the greenery to get to the main part of the classroom, right?
Yeah, you kind of wander through the greenery to get to the main part of the classroom. In that area, that kind of lounge area that I've tried to create, there's 2 sofas and there's a fireplace and there's a little place to get water, and then there's all of our bookcases.
Now, if you go round to the right and you go round the bookcase, then there's another little area out the back there, and you've got a foosball table.
I do,
right?
Because
now, what else is in that area? Because I got to admit, my mind was doing a million things the days I was there, and I didn't take it all in. I don't think. So, what else is in that area?
In that area, beyond where the foosball table is, there's a little kind of a walled off area that I've kind of created a false wall where I can do recording when I'm having my kids record.
That's great. That's
so
really
they kind of go behind that little wall. And usually that's kind of my office area too. So I can go back there if there's not a class in there or if someone else is teaching in my room. So I've created a walled off area for that, just out of bookcases and foam core. Yep. To create a walled off area so they can have a place to record.
Yep.
And the foosball table actually came out of, I used to have a rabbit, and the first rabbit went home with a little girl on a Friday, and on Monday she came back and she was crying because the rabbit had died, and so I bought another rabbit. And I sent it home with another little girl. And it came back again on Monday, and the little girl was crying because that rabbit had died. Oh, no. We went through 4 rabbits, and none of them made it through the experience. So I decided that to reward the class, because that had actually...
I shouldn't laugh. It is rabbit genocide.
Classroom reward, that we would buy a foosball table, because it was going to actually be less money than the successive generations of rabbits and probably better for the rabbit population of the world. Yeah. So that's where the foosball table came from. And she's got a name and she's got a whole history that goes with her. And even kids who have been in my class before will come in at other times and play. Sometimes if kids are having a bad day and they want to talk, they'll come in and say, "Hey, Miss Alford, you want to play a game?" And it's their way of saying, "Hey, I want to talk to you."
Yeah.
Without saying, "Hey, I want to talk to you," because that's a little bit scary to say. But saying, "Hey, let's play a game of foosball after school," that's kind of a signal to say, "Hey, can I have some of your time?" And it's a way to do it without being threatening.
Yeah, yeah. No,
and so that's what that space is all about.
Now, moving out of there, you come into this kind of the main part of the classroom, and you've got you've got a bench across the back, and you've got a whole bunch of Mac computers across the back of the room. The kids don't sit in rows; they sit in. It was a big semicircle when I was there, but it's probably different now.
No, it stays almost always in some configuration of a semicircle. The students move, but the semicircle pretty much stays the same, and it comes out of the sense of accountability. Right. I like the kids always to be able to see each other when they're presenting, when they're talking. And in that U-shaped formation, they're always held accountable because they can see everybody at all times.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes that kid who is likely to hide in the back of the room, he can't, because there's really no back of the room when everybody's all out to the front.
Yeah, yeah, cool. No, it's a great environment, and you've got artworks on the wall, and what color is it? I just forget. But my general impression is that it's just this lovely, stimulating intellectual space that you go into, and you just feel like a sense of freedom in there. That's how my takeaway.
Well, and that's by design. I want that. I want them to find something they care about in there. I have plants for those kids who love nature. I have robotic toys for those boys who love that kind of thing. I want every kid, atop my bookcases are all kinds of little things too, that because I want every kid to have something in there that they can go, wow, I really love that thing.
Yeah, that's great.
I have soccer balls and footballs and all kinds of those kind of things, iconic imagery, just to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah. Now, we didn't mention it, but this is a grade 5 class. I just better mention that.
It is.
Yep.
It is. And oftentimes when people come in there, they ask, what is this room used for? I've had it happen
People
a lot.
People did that when I was there. They were walking out, is this the library? No, this is a classroom.
Is this, what precisely is this space used for? Because it isn't clearly defined. And again, that's also by design. I don't believe that I want to be a teacher from the 1950s, so I don't want to have a classroom that looks like the 1950s.
Yeah. You know, it's pretty amazing how many classrooms you walk into and there isn't that thought given to the environment. It's a matter of, like, it's a box with 4 walls and a board at the front and rows of tables. And, like, it wouldn't take much just to move some tables or to, you know, put up a poster or something. But it's amazing how often that's not even done. It just remains the box with the tables.
It's true, and how little things could make such a big difference.
Yeah.
I recently gave away about a third of the plants that were in my room. And I gave them to another classroom because she has a little girl in her classroom that really, really loves plants. And I gave them to her teacher because I said, you know, she was in here the other day in my class and she really loves plants and she really wants to take care of them. And so the teacher has moved these plants into her room. There's 5 of them. We even have a man who comes and waters them, for goodness sakes. The difference it's made in that little girl, her teacher says, is shocking.
Yeah.
Because it's something that little girl cares about.
Yeah, no, environment's really important.
We do such a good job in the lower school. We do such a good job in the elementary school of catering an environment to the people who are in it. We do such a good job so many times. We do a much better job, not such a good job, because there's still a lot that could be done. But we do a much better job in the lower school compared to the upper school. The high schools.
Oh, high school classrooms are turgid. Horrible.
Yeah, it's just horrendous.
There are very few inspiring high school classrooms that I've been into. And you're right, kindergartens are always great. High school classrooms are always horrid, and it's a bit of a lucky dip in the middle.
Yeah, and look at what, like you said in your presentation, you ask a kindergartner, am I creative? Yes, I am. You ask a high schooler, are you creative? No, I'm not. Well, look at the environment they're in.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Isn't it an inspiring environment?
Now, you started to tell me before we hit the recorder, so I don't know how this story ends, but you started to tell me that your school's undergoing a kind of you wouldn't call it a redesign, or would you?
I wouldn't call it a redesign. What we've decided to do, or what we pitched today to the board, a teacher leadership committee was formed, purely teacher-driven, to say, we get X amount of money through auction funds. We have an auction at the end of the year. Donors donate things. Our parents buy them. There's money. The school said about a month and a half ago, we don't know what we want to do with that money. So a bunch of us teachers got together and said, you know what? We'd like to tell them what to do with that money, rather than them telling us what they were going to do with the money. And we came up with a theme called Learning Spaces to say we want to see more of the school transform its learning spaces into something more conducive to creative thinking and collaboration. Yep. So we've put a proposal on the table to change our tables and chairs arrangements in the high schools to more of a pod-like chair that's got wheels on the bottom and kind of a a swing out little desk thing. So you could be sitting in rows, you could be sitting in groups of 4, and all of that would be very easy and movable because it would have wheels.
It's interesting you say that because, like, walking into Concordia International School there, it feels like a really progressive environment to start with. It doesn't. I mean, it certainly doesn't feel like it.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
It feels it.
It is.
Lots of big open spaces and reconfigurable spaces and areas, spaces without walls, and a lot of the stuff that we talk about is sort of what Heppel refers to as third millennium teaching spaces. You already seem to have a lot of that stuff going on.
Oh yeah, we do, and that's the point. We want to take those spaces even further. We want to make the museum-like spaces in the halls. We want to have interactive spaces throughout our halls. We want to have an interactive greenhouse on our roof. We want to take a space that's not being used right now. We've got a big unused space in the basement and turn it into a gallery space.
Yeah.
We just want to use what we have, and we have so much, and we are so very lucky. We just want to use it a little better and have the ability to change some of these spaces. And to have people concentrate on it. Because right now we do have all those open spaces and all these reconfigurable things, but are we using them to the best of our ability?
Yeah.
And how can we make them even better?
And that's a wonderful thing to hear, that a school doing something really well keeps reevaluating how they do it better. And that continual, improvement process in place. That's really good.
We're definitely about the good to great. I think that we do it well now, but it could be one of the selling things for our school too, that we have made a conscious effort to create a design that really affects learning.
Are the kids part of that design process?
They have been, actually. We did a little poll with the teachers who were involved with this committee. We thought, let's get some feedback from our kids and what they'd like to see as far as design-wise in the school. And so it was fascinating, some of the ideas that they came up with.
Yeah, like what?
There were small spaces that we don't even consider, that I never even considered. There's a space that's underneath the steps. And I guess I never paid attention, but it's a place where they congregate, but there's nothing for them to congregate on.
Okay.
There's no seating, and it's fully a space that could be used.
So that could be as simple as just putting a couple of beanbags in there.
Yeah, boom, done and done, because it's already someplace they sit.
Yeah.
It's already a congregation place. It just needs some beanbags.
It's interesting what we miss as adults, I think. That our adult eyes often don't see things that kids pick up on. And there's a great example.
There's a great story of a university professor or a university designer who said, I don't want any paths put in. I want to wait a year to put in any walkways or paths.
I've heard this story, yeah.
And then he waits a year and he sees where the grass had been knocked down.
Yep.
And goes, that's where I want my pathways to go.
Yeah.
To let it form in that natural, organic way.
Yep.
And that's why I think the feedback from the kids has been really, really interesting, because they do notice things that we don't.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as we progress, we're going to have feedback from a whole staff coming this Wednesday. So we'll see what the staff thinks and hopefully get feedback from all the students. We've got feedback from our selective classes, but hopefully to get some feedback from all the students. Because if we can get them fired up about it, then they'll be thinking about it.
Yeah.
And as we know, design is important.
Absolutely.
Design is important.
Just hearing you talk about that, I just, as you've been talking, I just flipped open on my iPad. I took some notes. When I was in ULearn, after I left China, I went over to New Zealand for ULearn, and I met Professor Stephen Heppel, and
Yep.
he was talking about learning spaces, and I actually took some notes, and I'm just looking at some of the things that he said, and I jotted down some notes. One of them was this idea of thinking about the above floor spaces. That as adults we often look at a space and we think about it in terms of its floor plan and where would we put the furniture and stuff, but our sense of the space kind of stops at eye level, and we don't tend to think of what's between eye level and the ceiling, whereas kids do kind of think about the third dimension of going up rather than just, what goes where in the room. And he was talking about things like having a climbing wall in the room, or things hanging from the ceilings and making use of that space where things can hang down rather than necessarily being all on the floor. I thought that was kind of an interesting idea.
Well, I know one of the kids that I polled actually brought up something like that. And we have quite a few things hanging from the ceiling in my room.
Like
but
the
one
tree.
of the things, like a tree. But one of the things he pointed out was we have the same light fixtures in every room, and every single one of them are ugly, Miss Alford.
The kid said that.
The kid said that, and he said every single one of them is ugly. It's the same one in every room, and every single one of them is ugly. And I started looking at him, and I'm like, you know what? He's right. They are all the same, and he's right. Every single one of them is ugly because it's the same type of long bulb light fixture that we've had since 1958 when they came out with those light fixtures. Wow, those really are hideous. Yep, you're right. and Hempel is absolutely correct because we don't think about it. Because I can't say that prior to that point, except when I was hanging up my tree, did I think about how ugly those light fixtures were.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? We just don't think that. And yet I can remember when I was a kid, in my bedroom, I had like posters on the ceiling. I had like fishing wire going from side to side in the room, and all my model planes were hanging from the fishing wire. And there was a whole sense of three-dimensional space when you walked into the room. It was like it wasn't about the floor; it was about the entire environment. And interesting, because now I think about that, I walk into any teenage kid's room, and there's always like posters up on the walls and on the ceilings, and things hanging from the roof, and that's actually pretty common, and yet we don't do it in classrooms. Interesting.
Not very rarely, mostly because it's a fire hazard, and
hazard schmazard.
OSHA does disapprove sometimes. They're a little picky like that. Yeah. But we don't have OSHA in China, so we're okay.
There you go. Have you ever taught? I'm just looking at some of the other things Heppel said was shoes off spaces. Have you ever asked kids to take their shoes off to teach them?
During my drama classes, shoes are optional, and during any sort of free reading time, shoes are. I have no problem with kids not having shoes on.
Neither do I. But it's according to Stephen, like if you say to kids take your shoes off, the whole dynamic of the room changes. I've never actually done the experiment, strangely enough, but
I think it's really beneficial when they're doing free reading and they're just sort of laying around anywhere in the room. Because I'm also highly against students sitting up straight in a chair to read. When I'm at home and I'm reading a novel, I don't sit up straight in a chair. No. Why would I want my kids to do it for 30 minutes when I have them read every day?
No. And look, that was one of the other things I heard someone say was, this idea of if you were to say to kids that we've got a classroom with no furniture in it, I need you all to bring in a piece of furniture from home to help furnish the room, something that helps you learn. Bring in a piece of furniture that makes you learn better. Nobody would bring in an upright table and a chair.
Absolutely not.
There would be couches or beanbags or a mat or a big cushion or something. It wouldn't be a rigid back chair, and yet that's what we sort of expect kids to sit in all day.
And a lot of those chairs are horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible. How dare we make someone sit? We don't make teachers sit in them. We buy big fluffy chairs for teachers, but we make the children sit in these horrible chairs all day. And that's one of the other things that we put in the proposal for is to actually change the distributor who distributes even the chairs in our building. Because some thought was put into the ones that we bought this time, but we now think that there's even better ones out there that we could go with that would be a better choice, more ergonomic. I've changed a lot of my chairs over to the large round yoga balls.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed that. They're like the fit balls, the Swiss balls,
Yeah.
whatever they call them, yeah.
It's good for core strength.
Yep.
It's good for balance, and it's really beneficial to that kid who just needs a little bit of movement to stay on task.
Yeah.
A kid who's a little bit ADHD and just needs, if they get just a little bit of movement, then they can concentrate a little bit longer.
Yep. Yeah. And that's another thing that impressed me about your classroom, is that there are beanbags, there are fit balls, there are couches, there are tables and chairs, there are big cushiony pillow things, there's reclining lounges. You've just got all this interesting furniture there, and there's probably the only single type of furniture where there's enough for all the kids to be seated in them at one time is the tables and chairs. And beyond that, the whole class could go and sit somewhere else, but they'd all be sitting in something different, right?
Yeah, and that is the most common configuration is, during any free work time, they can sit in any configuration that they desire. They can sit on the floor. You can sit on the sofa. You can sit on a fit ball. You can, because it's free work, and I just want you to get your work done. And
I don't care how you do it.
I don't.
There's a concept.
I know, it's novel. I just want you to be in the best space possible for your thinking.
I'm going to ask anyone who's listening to this podcast to go over to www.virtualstaffroom.net and leave a comment there in the comment stream on this post. And because I'd be really interested to hear what other people do in their classrooms in terms of trying to make them a more dynamic, more interesting, more homely kind of environment. I haven't seen that many great examples. I think that's why I'm talking to you tonight, because I thought your classroom really stood out as a really good example of that. Interesting.
I think there's still a lot that I could do. There's still a lot
and
that I
that's
could
why
do.
you're a great teacher, because you're always looking at how can I do that better.
Well, I think that comes out of being an industry, though. It comes out of, if you're not constantly trying to improve your product, then your product's no longer going to be marketable.
Okay, so talk to me about that. So before you were a teacher, you were an engineer. What type of engineer? What'd you do? Where'd you do it? How long? All that type of thing?
About 3.5 years.
Yep.
I was a quality control engineer.
Yep. Back in the States?
Back in the States, yeah. I worked for a couple of companies. I worked for Robert Shaw Controls, and we made stove components.
Now, was this prior to going into teaching altogether, or did you teach and then do engineering and then come back to teaching?
No, this was prior to going into teaching altogether. My mom, who was a teacher, and a fantastic one, just an absolutely top-notch teacher, did not want me to go into the profession, was adamant that I did not go into the profession because she wanted me to make money.
A real job.
She never wanted me to be poor, and she just didn't want that for me, and she was adamant about it. And I fought her on it.
Sounds like someone needed to talk to her about international teaching, but we can talk about that at another time. Apparently that's not such a bad deal.
Not such a bad deal. But, she was teaching in inner city in the States, and she just didn't want that for me. And so I went through school. When I started working, I worked as an engineer, and it has brought to me some really valuable lessons that I don't think I would be as good a teacher if I didn't have them.
Yeah.
It's brought to me a certain perspective on what I was looking for as an end at the end. It gave me a big picture that I don't know that I would have had I gone directly into teaching.
Yeah, I feel the same way because I left teaching as well. I taught for a couple of years, hated it, went and did a whole bunch of other things, and then eventually came back to it and fell in love with it as a profession. But that wouldn't have happened if I had stayed in it from the beginning.
Yeah. And I had to grow to hate engineering. I had to grow to hate everything about that and about factory working, because I went from 3.5 years at Robert Shaw, and then I worked for, prior to that, I'd worked for Gold Kist, which is a poultry factory, and that was 2.5 years. And then it was, I worked as an engineer for probably the world's most evil empire, Walmart.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, it's only libel.
It's only libel.
Or is
No.
it slander? No, which is the one where you say it? One's when you say it, one's when you write it down. Anyway, I can't remember.
I think it's slander when you say it.
Slander when you say
No,
it, right.
I actually learned so much from the company. I learned a lot from all the different jobs that I got the opportunity to do. I wouldn't go back to any of them. No, never.
No,
but they
no.
did give me perspective.
I had an experience, I'm sure I've blogged about this at some stage, but I had someone come and visit our school, and they wanted to look around. They were visiting from, I think it was South Africa, and they wanted to just look at some schools in Sydney. And I took them around and showed them a few classrooms. And without really thinking about it, I just kind of picked, I know that teacher will be doing something interesting, and I know that teacher's always got something good going on. So, I picked, I think, 3 or 4 classrooms, and I took them around and showed them. And it wasn't until afterwards, and I thought to myself, and the feedback from this visitor was, wow, you've got some really great teachers here at the school. And I thought, yeah, we do. We have some really talented individuals. And I thought afterwards, you know what, that one there, she used to be a professional opera singer before she went into teaching. Oh, and this other one, before he started teaching, he was a computer programmer. And this other one, she used to be a corporate lawyer. And I see it over and over again. And whenever I actually say that, I always get these sort of nasty emails from people going, oh, how dare you say that? I've been a teacher all my life, and, I'm a great teacher. And I don't doubt that. But, man, it just seems to me that people who have done other things other than just teach bring a real extra dimension of something to what they do.
I think so. But I also think that it comes back to the idea, if you have been a success at one thing, you will be a success. The determiners for being a success. If you were a success in something else, you will be successful.
I read that recently in a book somewhere.
Yeah.
The biggest determinant of success in something is prior success in something else.
Prior success. And I think my husband has the best example working for him right now. He needed someone to be on one of his teams, and he looked at hiring a bunch of people. And then he looked, and one of the guys had been a previous Bulgarian national ping pong champion.
Right.
He didn't have nearly the qualifications that some of the other people had.
Yep.
But he had the idea of what it would take to become a champion.
Yeah.
Or the amount of effort that it would take to do that. And he was successful. I mean, he reached the absolute top that he could in his career, or in his chosen field. And I really feel like there is no finer employee that he has at the moment, because he's got that understanding of what it means to be successful.
Yeah.
And
I think there's a lot to it. I can't prove it, but and like I say, people I know get offended when I suggest it. But it just seems to be too big a coincidence.
And oftentimes we also know that there are other things out there that we may whinge slightly about our teaching jobs, but we know that there's other things out there that we really don't want to do.
True.
That idea of perspective. But back to that idea that if you're successful in one thing, that it's easier for you to be successful at something else. How often do we bring that to our kids? Do we help them find real and sincere success at something, so they can later transfer those skills, those skills of success?
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't, because we just, well, I know you and I don't, but some people just grade the work and they never get a chance to really make something great.
It does worry me sometimes when I hear stories from within schools, firstly about how we measure success and what we consider to be successful. And again, the value of failure, the value of getting something wrong before you get it right. And I think, that you and I spoke about this a fair bit when we did our cohort about failing forward, about that you have to make mistakes, you have to reiterate, you have to get it wrong before you get it right, and then get that wrong before you get it right again. And if you're not doing that, then you're actually never growing and never improving. And yet the education system globally almost seems to be built around this idea of not failing, of getting something. Now, actually, I've just reminded me, as I've said that, you had an interesting story that maybe you can't tell about failing. If you don't want to tell that story, that's okay. Don't. It just came into my mind as I said that. No, okay, let's move on.
Thank you.
Let's hypothetically say that that you were trying to teach children to succeed long term by letting them know what success needed to look like, and not accepting something if it was substandard, to the point of saying, well, I'm not going to pass you. I'm not going to award you with a certain level of success. Can we talk about this or not?
Oh, certainly. And I do sincerely believe it. I will send work back.
Yeah, because you have pretty high standards.
I do, because I know that my children will be the children who are going to be making the choices and the decisions in my future. Yeah. They're going to be the movers and shakers. Their parents they're from families of wealth, and they are going to be in positions of power in my future. I don't want them to be substandard. I do not want them to be subpar. I don't want them to just get by. I want them to know what hard work is, what it looks like, and what a quality product looks like. Yeah. If they're going to produce. I also want them to be aggressive in their pursuit of betterment. I want them to really want to better themselves. And if they're never put in a situation where they're wrong, or where it's not good enough, then they're not going to pursue getting anything better. I had a parent come to me the other day and say, we love what you're doing, because here's what's happened. My son has told us that we can no longer have TV during the week because it interferes with his work. And he's got work to do. He's got work to do. I don't know why he has work to do now and has never had work to do in the past, but now he has work to do. And he needs to get it done well. The parents shook my hand and walked away. I talked to the boy about it. I said, I see you've laid down a mandate at your house that you can't have TV anymore. The little boy said, Miss Alford, it's a distraction that's getting in the way of my excellence, and I'm not going to have it.
Really? That came from a year 5 kid.
Year 5, getting in the way of my excellence. Oh, yeah. Getting in the way of my excellence. Wow. That's what I want from all my kids. Mm-hmm. It's what I expect from myself. I want to continually pursue excellence. I want to continually be a learner. I want to aggressively pursue knowledge. And it's nice just what
goals.
I want.
Nice goals, aren't they?
Yeah. I want to be a lifelong learner. I want it for my kids.
Yeah. I think it's a real key to being a great teacher is actually being a learner yourself, of being a lifelong learner. I've always wanted to know more, and considering that you never actually have all the answers.
And caring about other things, having diversified interests, I think is also crucial for a teacher, to not just be a learner about education, but hey, go learn to play an instrument or go.
Guess what I'm learning to play next year? I told my daughter today. She was horrified. The bagpipes.
Oh, oh dear, really?
Really, yeah.
Oh,
Because
fantastic.
I teach in a school with a Scottish heritage. We have quite a good pipes and drums band. And I was talking to the pipes teacher the other day at dinner, and I said, I think I might take up the bagpipes. He said, cool. So, yes, I'm going to give it a shot next year.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I can't wait to hear how this comes out.
I'm looking forward to wearing a skirt. Oh, I might cut that bit out.
That should be the title of this podcast. Chris is looking forward to wearing a skirt.
It's actually a kilt, not a skirt.
And back to the topic of design.
There was something else I wanted to touch on too, just before we sort of start to wind this up. And that is living in Shanghai. You obviously like it. I mean, I was there for a week. I loved it. I thought it was a great city, and not at all what I expected. And I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't it.
Did you expect us to be living in a hut?
No, not at all. No, it's really weird. Here's what struck me, and again, I've probably blogged this somewhere, but you see those videos, the Michael Wesh videos, the what do they call them? The did you know videos? Yeah, did you know that China has more honest students than America has students? Blah blah blah. And it's got all these great examples about China will be the number one spoken English on the internet and number one spoken language on the internet in the next few years. And you get this picture in your head about okay, China, I get it, up and coming country, I get it, but it's not till you get there into a place like Shanghai and it hits you in the face as to how seriously real all that stuff is. And when it hit me, I got out of the airport and Michael met me at the airport and we got into a cab. The woman who was driving the cab was an old Volkswagen, it probably wasn't that old, it was a Volkswagen stick shift, manual cab, and this little Chinese woman was driving and she clearly couldn't drive. She didn't know how to drive a manual and she bunny hopped the car all the way off the cab rank. She got out onto the freeway, pulled over on the side of the freeway to punch something into the GPS because she didn't know where she was going. And then when she did figure it out, she went on the freeway at 40 kilometres an hour. And we're getting passed by trucks and, the whole honking of the horns business. And it was actually pretty scary. And I glanced sideways at Michael and he must have seen the look of terror in my face because he said to me, yeah, but what you've got to remember is until 5 years ago, most of these people had never driven a car.
It's true.
And the whole, did you know China is moving really fast, China's going to be a world power, blah, 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 all that really hit home when I thought, wow, really? I'm looking around at seeing these freeways and bypasses and sort of, infrastructure that was as good as anywhere else in the world and thinking, really? These people have never driven like 5 years ago? This is all happening that quick? That's pretty mind-boggling.
Well, just even at our school, 15 years ago, it was a swamp.
Yeah.
The whole area around our school was a swamp. Large sections of Pudong, which are now, every day we get a new skyscraper, and that's not like some made up statistic. Every day we get a new one.
No. What's the statistic? There are more skyscrapers in Shanghai than the entire west coast of the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a new skyscraper has been commissioned in Shanghai every week. Is it for the last 5 years or something?
Yeah.
Some crazy statistic like that. It's mind-boggling. And then you and I went into Shanghai and went up into, what's that tallest building there? The Shanghai World Financial Center. Right, and we're standing on the 100th floor of the second tallest building in the world, looking down at the fifth tallest building in the world next door, looking across the road to the building site where they're about to build the tallest building in the world. And you go to me, yeah, this wasn't here 10 years ago. And it's like...
Yeah, it wasn't.
That's mind-snapping.
And the pylons on the building that's going to be the tallest in the world, and it's the third tallest, the fifth tallest, and the first tallest are all going to be, literally, a stone's throw from
each other. Yeah.
And the pylons are done, and it will be finished, completely finished, in 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The speed to which a building can be built here is shocking.
It is amazing. But standing
Because
there looking out at this sea of skyscrapers, I mean, without exaggeration, as far as you could see in Shanghai.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then, I'm thinking all of this, all of that concrete and steel and glass and everything that I can't see past didn't exist when my daughter was born.
No, not at all. And there's been so much concrete, and the heat from all the concrete has caused a climate change in the area.
Yeah.
It's pretty staggering. It's an amazing city. I highly recommend that people visit, because you get a different view of China. It's very different than Beijing, which is the capital, and it's historical, and you can see all the greatness that is China, as far as its history. But Shanghai is its future. Shanghai is the financial capital. It's where the money is made. And you can sense it. You can sense it in the people.
Yeah.
They're a lot more fashion forward. They're a lot more progressive in their thinking than the people from Beijing. And it's a fun, dynamic city. It really, really is.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It was great. Hope to get back.
I hope that you do. I hope that come and bring your friends, because it's a great place to be. It's not all roses. There are times when it's really scary. The cab rides being one of them. That can be pretty frightening, actually. Yep, pretty scary.
Yeah, it is.
Just because there's not that much experience. We grew up riding in cars. They grew up riding on bicycles.
Uh-huh.
We got our first cars at 16 or 17. Some of them didn't get their first bicycle till 16 or 17.
Yeah.
It affects things. It affects the way they drive, the way traffic moves. It's worth seeing.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's quite the phenomenon, actually. Yes, well, hope to get back there. Is now Learning 2.0 Learning 2.0 12 is the next one.
11.
11, 2.0. Of course, you're going to do it next year. I should know that.
That's next year. Aren't we on that committee?
Yeah, I think so. So next year, did we decide where? It's back.
It's going to be in Shanghai. It's going to be at a different school, a different campus, not of our school, but of another school here in Shanghai, Shanghai Community International School, at their Pudong campus. So not that far from our school. And it's going to be near the new location of Shanghai Disney, where
awesome.
They're breaking ground on a new Disneyland in Shanghai.
It'll be finished by next year.
Unfortunately, it won't be, but it'll be close.
Yeah, they have most of the rides done.
The rides will be done. It's just hiring and training all the characters.
Yeah. Exactly. The actors.
The actors. It takes a while to train Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. What are they? But at Disneyland, they don't call them employees, do they? They call them the cast.
I think so. Yeah.
And everyone who works at Disneyland is a member of the cast. Even if you're like selling ice creams or popcorn or something, you're still a member of the cast, and you have a part to play, and you have a role to fulfill, and you have to do it with a smile on your face and everything else. I read that somewhere.
Isn't that fantastic, though?
Yeah,
I think that's fantastic. I think that's a great,
Yeah,
a great
the whole notion
twist.
Of you come to work feeling crappy, and you had a bad day or whatever. You still come to work, you put the smile on, and you play the part that you have to play because it's important to the overall mission of what everyone's trying to achieve there.
Yeah,
bit like schools, really.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some people forgot their part.
No, that's good. That's good. Anything else we should talk about before we wrap up?
Oh, well, as we've been talking, I've actually been working on a piece between that kind of illustrate the difference between IQ and EQ, but I think that's a different podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time. And I should just mention, you are an Apple Distinguished Educator.
I am. Mm-hmm. I am. This is just another word for dork, but yep, that's me. Proud Apple user, have been for quite a while. And part of it is, to go back to bring this full circle, part of it is design. Their products that they have to help children design things or design products, their software for design is just superior.
Yeah.
And it's why we use it. It's why we became a Mac school, was design matters to us. And if they're producing software that helps children be good designers, that's what we want.
Yeah. Nice.
There's my pitch for Apple.
Checks in the mail. No.
Checks in the mail. Better mail that to Melissa. She'll love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, Melinda Alford, thank you so much for talking to me. It's been great to chat again.
Always good to talk to you.
It's really good to share some of your insights with, the rest of the world. Or at least the other 3 people who listen to this podcast.
Hi, Kim.
All right. Catch you later.
Ciao.
If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, you might like to go over to www.virtualstaffroom.net, where you can check out all the show notes and links and everything from this episode and the other 36 episodes that came before it. You'll find us on the iTunes store if you'd like to download. And until next time, my name's Chris Betcher. See you soon.
You do know my name and where I'm from, right?
Yeah. I just couldn't think of the name of the school. I had a mental blank for a moment. I do that a lot. I blank out. My neurons don't fire properly.